Hi, I'm Rachel with Backcountry Hunters and Anglers. I'm here with Ryan of Vortex Optics here at Vortex's Edge shooting facility in Wisconsin. We are filming the Get Dialed series. It's very important for us to help our members acquire the knowledge they need to become very proficient with their equipment and have the skills they need for effective kills during hunting season. Today, we are going to talk about boresighting. We, in previous episodes, have taught you how to pick out a scope, how to mount your scope, and today we are going to talk about boresighting. So I'm actually going to turn it over to Ryan, and he is going to walk you through the process. Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah, absolutely. So boresighting is a very simple way that you can get your scope close to zeroed so that you don't have to expend or expel a lot of ammunition. You're going to need a couple things: a decent rest. Here we're using a two-piece rest, rear bag, front mechanical rest. And we're going to use two targets for this. You can use one. I like to use two. One is going to be used to actually do the boresighting, and then one will be our finishing target, which will rough in and finalize the zero. Boresighting is as it in the name, we're actually looking down the bore and looking down the scope, adjusting the optic in order to get things close. Again, the idea here is we don't use up a whole bunch of expensive ammunition. We save time, we save money, and frustration. So the first thing you're going to want to do when you boresight, assuming that your rifle can boresight, this should be notable here. So like most conventional bolt action rifles that have a removable bolt can do this very easily. If you have a different gun, like say a Remington Model 740, might not be able to do it. You'll have to use a boresighting device. But for today's illustration, we're using a conventional bolt action rifle, and this is a cinch. So the rifle's unloaded on safe. We're going to remove the chamber flag, and I'm going to remove the bolt from the rifle. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're actually going to position the barrel so that when we look through it, like look down that bore, again, it's in the name, we're going to center up one of the targets on there. And I'm using this very sturdy rest to do this, because it's important that we don't influence the rifle so much when we're doing this. So all I've done is looking down the barrel, I've bracketed that target on the left side into the center of the bore. I'm then going to look through the rifle scope, again not touching the rifle, and take note of the position of the crosshair relative to that target that I have centered in the barrel. So I need to make a slight adjustment, and I'm going to just manipulate my turrets on both elevation and windage axis. To get as close to aligned as possible. And again, this is not going to substitute or be a substitution for an actual zero. This is just getting us close. So just a quick check to make sure I did my homework, and everything looks good. Okay, so let's give this a go. We're boresighted. We're going to start with just a single round of ammunition into the rifle, and we're going to go to the boresighting target. We're going to check our work here. I can see that I've hit the target at about the 1 o'clock position, just high and just right of the bullseye. So I'm going to use my reticle to measure the amount of offset that I have to input into the rifle scope, and I see that I've got to come down 2 MOA and I have to come left 2 MOA. So I'll go up to my turret and over to my other turret. I'm going to fire another shot at that boresighting target to confirm where we're at. And it looks like I need to come over 1/2 MOA, just to the left. I'm going to fire one more confirmation shot. And I'm right on the money. So I'm going to let the rifle cool for a little bit here, and then we're going to go over to that final sight and target, and we're going to really finalize this zero to make sure that we're on and ready to hunt. All right, so we're going to check our work here. After the initial boresight and my first round fired, we can see we landed up here at about the 1 or 2 o'clock position. And then I made a correction, 2 minutes down, 2 minutes left. Now I use the reticle in this rifle scope to do that. As an aside from being, the means to make an accurate holdover shot, you can also use it to measure distances or spacings between things. And I'm using that reticle much like an overlay or a ruler relative to the center of my target where my bullet impacted. And I could see that I required 2 minutes of windage and 2 minutes of elevation to make that correction. So first round was high, we brought it down. It was also right, we brought it left. My second shot landed just shy of centered. And so I again used that reticle as an overlay, and I saw that I needed about a half a minute of angle of adjustment. So just 2 simple clicks, and I brought it right to the center of the X there. So we've effectively zeroed the rifle in as little as 3 shots. So not a huge time commitment, and certainly saved on ammo costs. We'll go ahead and finish up the zero, and we'll fire one final 3-round group to make sure it's good to go, and we're ready to head to the field. All right, folks, let's get our finalized zero done. So again, we're bore sighted. We've gotten through the manual process of this. We're just going to get that group on paper for an assurance here.
This has been awesome, Ryan. Thank you so much for showing us how to do this.
Yeah.
As you can see, if you break it down step by step, it is not complicated. Anybody can learn how to do this. So a couple questions. Why do you rely on a 3-shot group? Why can't you just fire 1 shot and say, oh, that's okay. Why are we shooting groups? Why are we shooting a 3-shot group? Why wouldn't we shoot more?
Excellent question. So I think a 1-shot group probably doesn't tell you the rest of the story with respect to the rifle and repeatability and accuracy. So while it may satiate the need and it might thread that needle perfectly, fire 2 more just as an assurance. And as far as 3 or 5 or 10 round groups to determine zero, I think a lot of this comes back to the style of rifle, the caliber, and a couple of attributes that might make or break this situation. So if I was zeroing with a very heavy barreled target rifle of some kind, something that has like a lot of thermal stability to it, and that I could shoot many rounds without that barrel moving its point of impact due to heat, maybe I would. On a light profile like this is like a mountain or western style hunting rifle. As you increase the number of rounds down the barrel, it heats up, your point of impact can and most likely will migrate. And there's some debate on the merit of anything over 3 for field conditions. How often do you suppose you're going to be shooting more than 3 rounds at the same target in sequence or in succession? I'm very comfortable with a 3-round zero, especially if it exemplifies the fact that the rifle is repeatable and the accuracy is maintained. If you're a competition shooter or a bench rest shooter and you really, really want to know what that rifle will do under duress, bump it up to 5. No big deal.
For more information on how to go through this process, you can find resources at Vortex website. You can call into Vortex and ask questions. But additionally, at facilities like Vortex Edge, you can take marksmanship programs that will actually help teach you this as part of the curriculum. So again, we're always promoting getting out there, educating yourself as a hunter, making sure that you're effective at what you're doing out there in the field. So hope you appreciate these Get Dialed series and the information we're offering in there, and look forward to talking to you in the next series.